Hello again. It's so wonderful and lovely to see you amazing and beautiful creatives. Thank you for joining me on this particular video. I really appreciate every one of you. Now let's go ahead and talk about what today's series is all about. Introduce myself. My name is Vivian Okeke. I am a seamstress based in Abuja, and Abuja is in Nigeria. Okay, so now the series is the series of outfits I decided to make for myself for as Christmas gift. So this is like a gift from me, created by me to me. Now I have done the first, I have done the second, and this particular video is the third, and the third is going to be on a bootcut. Now you guys, what inspired this video? Short story, I was on Instagram looking for memes to laugh. You know, I like memes, I like to laugh. So while on Instagram, I stumbled on Alex Unusual's page, and she was wearing this lovely bootcut. God, you need to see it. Now this is the bootcut I'm going to be using as my thumbnail because I am so in love with that bootcut. And when I saw it, I'm like, I need to make one for myself. So I decided to go ahead and recreate this. And you guys, I love the outcome. I love my bootcuts. Like, this is not the first bootcut I am making on this channel. I have made bootcuts 2 years back when I started YouTube. Now that particular video, trust me, it is not that detailed because I was just starting, I was a beginner, so I didn't even know how to relate to my audience. But the second one I created was really detailed. In fact, on that video, I talked about how to get the wideness of the bootcut. I also talked about a lot of things that I think you should go check that video out if you really want to understand how to make bootcut. Although this particular video is still going to be clear, but that video, there are some things I talked about that I won't be talking about on this video. But on this video, I'll be giving you the measurements you need to create your bootcut. I'll be giving you the steps, I'll be giving you everything. It's going to be detailed, but there are particular things, little things I talked about. I think you should go check that video out. So let's go into the video, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment. Please engage on this video because your engagement or your likes or whatever you do on this video, as far as you're engaging, it helps this video grow. Don't forget to engage, and I hope to see you guys at the end of the video. So guys, we're going to start off this whole process by drafting out a pattern, and the length of my bootcut is 50 inches. On my pattern paper, I have, I think, 40 inches, but the length I'll be using totally on my fabric is 50 inches. So the next thing I'll be showing you guys is the width of my pattern paper. Now the pattern paper, the width I use is 16 inches, and how I got this, I divided my round lap by 2, and I added 2.5 inch as the allowance. Now my round lap is 27 divided by 2 gives you 13.5. now 13.5 plus 2.5 inches gives you 16. That is how I got the width of my pattern paper. Now the first point on my pattern paper here is the waist point, so I'm just going to go ahead and write this down. And the next point I'll be marking down for my waist point is my hip point. So if you don't have a pattern paper, please don't be discouraged. Fold your fabric into 2, and then make sure you get the width the way I got my widths. And once you have the width of your fabric, go ahead and mark your waist point, and the next point after your waist point is your hip point. Now the next point I'll be marking is my crotch point, and how I got my crotch point is by placing the tape from my front waistline between my legs to my back waistline. I got 26. I divided that number by 2 and I got 13. Because I'm attaching a band to my bootcut, I'll be minusing 2 inches from the 13, and I'll be marking 11 inches as my crotch point. Now 11 inches is 1 inch below my hip point, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark 11 inches. So please go ahead and follow the process and get your crotch point and mark your crotch point after your hip point. Now the next point I'll be marking is my thigh point. 3 inches below your crotch point is your thigh point, so go ahead and mark your thigh point. So this is the thigh point, and this is 3 inches below the crotch. Now the next point we are going to be marking is the knee point. And the knee point, go ahead and place the tape from your waistline to 1 inch or 2 inch above your nail, your actual nail. So I'm just going to place the tape and mark my knee point, and this is 19 inches from my waist. And as you know, the pattern paper is my length, so I'm just going to write the length here. This is the length, but when I am cutting on the actual fabric, I will be adding 10 more inches to this to get my 50 inches. So for now, this is the length. Now let's go ahead and divide our round measurements. So on the waist part, on the waist point, before I mark my round measurement, I'll be marking 1.5 inch in. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inch in, and this is for shaping. So go ahead and mark this. This is necessary, guys. If you want your bootcut to come out beautiful, go ahead and mark this 1.5 inch in. And after that point, I'll go ahead and connect it to the hip point. Like I'll connect the 1.5 inch to the hip point like this. And now you can see that the pattern is already forming. So what we're going to do now is divide the round waist by 4. So I'll go ahead and divide my round waist by 4, and I'll mark this down after the 1.5 inch on the waist. And the allowance I'll be adding to this is ½ inch. And you guys, why I'm using ½ inch is because the fabric I'm using is stretchy. So if you don't have a stretchy fabric, just go ahead and use 1 inch. But make sure when you're sewing this in, you sew in all the allowance so you can get your actual fitting. So this is my allowance, ½ inch. And then I'll move to the hip point. I'll divide my round hip by 4. And I will also be marking ½ inch allowance. That is the only allowance I'm using. Like I said, I am using a stretchy fabric. So I'll go ahead and connect the waist to the hip like this. I'll connect the allowance first with a red marker, and then I'll connect the actual measurement, so you know that this is my allowance and this is my actual measurement here. Now on the crotch points, I will be marking my round lap divided by 2. So go ahead and divide your round lap by 2 and mark this down on your crotch points. That's your crotch line. That is where you're marking your round lap divided by 2. On my crotch line, what I do is after marking my round lap divided by 2, I always add 2 inches allowance. So this is necessary, guys. If you're using my pattern to draft out your bootcut or your trousers, any trouser, just make sure you always add 2 inches on your crotch line. After dividing your round lap, you add extra 2 inches. And I'm just going to connect the hip line to the crotch with a curve. So if you don't have a curve ruler, just go ahead and use your free hand to do this, but make sure you get a curve there. And now I'll go ahead and place the tape on my crotch line just to find out what I have there. So I'm just going to find out the measurement I have there. And I got 15.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and divide the 15.5 inches by 2, like this. And now this is my middle point. I'm going to go ahead and mark 7.5 inch and a point as my middle point. So this is how you get your middle point, guys. You just place the tape on your crotch line and find out what you have there, the measurement you have there, and divide that measurement by 2, and then you go ahead and mark that number you get on your thigh line, on your knee line, and on your length. And if you want your trouser to have a dart, you go ahead and mark that also on your waistline and on your hip line. So now I have my middle points. I'll just go ahead and connect them with a straight line like this, so I can mark the rest measurements from there. So this is just going to enable us to know the middle point of the trouser, and that is what I just marked out here. So now on the tie line, I'm just going to go ahead and divide my round lap by 2. And my round lap divided by 2 gives you 13.5. Remember, I did that before. So divide my round lap by 2, I get 13.5. And I'm just going to divide the 13.5 by 2 again. So I can mark half of it to the left and half of it to the right. So what I'm marking now is the half of 13.5. I'll mark this to the left from the middle point, and then I'll mark it to the right from the middle point. So when you place the tape on both points, you're going to get 13.5. Because I already marked out the middle point on the boot cut, I'm just going to mark half of 13.5 to the left and to the right. And now once that is done, I'm just going to go ahead and connect the crotch line to the tie line like this. So now moving to the knee line, I'm just going to do the same thing I did on the tie line, or divide my round knee by 2. So I'll go ahead and divide my round knee. You can see where I placed the tape on my knee, right, on the measurements. So I'll divide my round knee by 2, and I got 10. And I'm going to divide 10 by 2, and I got 5. I'm just going to mark 5 to the left and 5 to the right. So when I measure it, I get 10. So just the same thing I did on the tie line, I'm just doing the same thing on the knee line, dividing my round knee by 2, and then dividing the number I get after dividing my round knee. I divide the number by 2, and I mark that to the left and to the right from the middle point. And now I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to the tie line. So gradually it is coming together. Now over to the length. This is where I'm going to determine how full I want my boot cut to be, how wide I want it to be. And that is the round base. Now go ahead and determine how wide you want the base of your boot cut to be. Now divide that number by 2, and then mark half of it to the right and to the left from the middle point. So I got 30 inches as my round base. That is how wide I want my boot cut to be. I went ahead to divide 30 by 2, and I got 15 inches. Now I'm going to mark half of 15 inches to the left and half of 15 inches to the right. So I have to divide it to know the half, and the half is 7.5. So I'm going to mark 7.5 to the left from the middle point like this, and 7.5 to the right. I hope you guys understand this process. So the same thing I did on the tie line, the same thing I did on the knee line, and I'm doing the same thing on the base. So if you want to achieve the same wideness I have on my boot cut, you go ahead and do the same process. But if you want it to be fuller, go ahead and find out how fuller you want it to be, and you divide that number by 2, and then you mark half of it to the left and half of it to the right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and connect it like this to the knee, and you guys, you can see I have my flay already on the pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the part I don't need, the paper I don't need, so you guys can see my pattern clearly. And this is the front pattern of the boot cut. And you guys, I'm going to be using the front pattern to cut out the back piece, and you'll be seeing how. It's just very easy. So now I have my fabric here folded into 2, and I'm just indicating the wrong side of the fabric. So you guys, we're going to be cutting the back piece first, and this fabric is folded into 2 like I said. I'm just going to go ahead and place my pattern, my front pattern. And now to be able to get the back, well, all I have to do to the front piece is add 1.5 inch, and that is it. To all measurements, I'll be adding 1.5 inch, and that is how you get your back piece. So making any kind of trouser is never really hard. It's never that hard. All you have to do is draft out your front pattern, and you're good to go. Once you have your front pattern available, you can use this to cut out your back pattern. And to do this, you just have to add 1.5 inch on all measurements. So what I did is, first of all, I marked this on the crotch line, and I made sure that the crotch line on the front pattern and the one on the back piece sit together. I'm just marking 1.5 inch on all measurements, from the waist to the hip line to the thigh line to the knee line to the length. I'll be adding 1.5 inch.
Learn to walk before you fly. You need to enjoy your life. So all I know, gonna please get a coke, no ice. Someone please turn off the light. Everything needs to be right. I just wanna close my eyes.
My zip is going to sit at the back piece, and now I just have to create the space for the zip. I'm going to place my tape and mark 7 inches down from the waistline. That is where my zip is going to sit. And from that 7 inches upward, I'll be marking 1 inch allowance. So I'm just creating my allowance for the zip, and this is how I do it. So now I have this done. I'm just going to go ahead and make a curve here at the 7 inch, and then I'll just take it up. This is my allowance for the zip, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out like this. So hope you guys understand this part. Let me know if you do, or if you don't, let me know so I can explain more. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my back piece. This is the back piece. Remember, we just added 1.5 inch on all measurements, and then we created the zip allowance, and that was it for the back piece. So when I'm sewing, I'm just going to go ahead and sew in my zip allowance, and you guys, you can see how it looks. This is how it's going to look when I'm done sewing. Now before I cut out my front piece, I'm just going to go ahead and drop the waistline, and to do this I'm just marking 1 inch down, and then I'll go in by 3 inches. So I marked 1 inch down on the waistline, and then I'm going to go in by 3 inches still on the waistline. Now I'm just going to go ahead and connect those points together, the 3 inches to the 1 inch. I'm using my free hand. And then this is just dropping the waist like I said. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out that part. I don't need it anymore. And now I can go ahead and fold my fabric into 2 and place my pattern to cut. Make sure you indicate the wrong side of your fabric, very necessary. Indicate it, and yeah, let me go ahead and cut out my front piece. You guys, remember I said I'll be adding the length on the fabric, the actual fabric. What I have on this fabric is 50 inches. That is why it's looking this long. On the pattern I had just 40 inches, and now I added 10 inches to the length so I can get my 50 inches. So to join this, what I have to do is I'll place one piece of the back piece together with one piece of the front piece. Like I'm taking one piece from each, and I'm just going to place them right side facing right side, and then I'll go sew on the crotch part. I'll be sewing this in by 1/2 inch. That's on the crotch part. I'll sew this in by 1/2 inch. And then on the hip, the part where you have the hip, this other side, I'll be closing it in by 1 inch. And this is it, guys. I have the 2 leg ready, and now I just have to go join from the crotch area. So I'll make sure the 2 lines on the crotch parts, the 2 lines sit together. I'll just go ahead and sew this in by 1/2 inch. And now once I was done joining, this is what I have. The bootcut is almost done. All we have to do is create the band and then attach the zip. So you guys see it's already looking beautiful. So what I'll do now is mark where my zip is going to sit, because I need to rip it open. I'm just going to go ahead and rip this open. So I'll go ahead with my seam ripper and open this up to the points, the allowance I left for my zip, and you guys, you can see it. And now to cut out my band, I just have to place the tape on the bootcut, that's the waistline, and I will find out what I have there so I can use that to cut out my band. And you guys, this is the band. Now this is already folded into two, and what I did is I fold half an inch on the top and half an inch on the base. This whole band, the width of the whole band is 6 inches, and then I folded half an inch on the top and half an inch on the base. I ironed this down with my hot iron and make sure it is laying flat, and then I went ahead to now fold it into two. Now the width of my band right now is 2.5 inch. As you can see, this is 2.5 inch. Now I'll just have to go sew the band to the bootcut by joining from the wrong side, and then I'll flip this to the right side and I'll top stitch on it. And you guys, while I was top stitching, I used two stitch to do my. What happened was I sewed the first stitch and I felt like it was not holding it well, so I decided to go in again with another line to make it 2 stitch. And once I was done joining my band, the next thing I have to do is attach my zip. And this is the zip I'll be using for my boot cuts. And once I was done, the next thing to do is hem this in with my hemming gum. So I'm hemming the base of the boot cut so I can have clean finish at the base. So I'm just going to hem this in with my hemming gum. And you guys, that is how I was able to create this beautiful boot cut that what's her name, Alex Unusual inspired. And hope you guys are able to get the same results. Please let me know in the comment section if you're able to create one, and if this video was any help to you, let me know. And you guys, if you're new, if you're seeing this channel for the first time, just go ahead and subscribe, because I think you want to be here. I know you will like it here, so go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in learning how to sew. And yeah, please, you guys, go ahead and engage on this video. Please, your engagement means so much to me, so go ahead and engage, like, comment, and help me share this video. You guys are amazing, you guys are wonderful, you guys are beautiful, and I can't wait to see you on my next video. Bye.